Hey everybody, it is Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2 in a really hot garage tonight, even though it is 9 o'clock. Yeah, it's hot. Thought today I would do the Texas Gun Vault question and answer number 3. And I gotta be setting up for a video while I'm doing this. I got a Staccato C2 to review tonight, so that's on the table. And gotta set up the camera. But let's go through a couple of these questions that I got asked. So let's see what we got here. Matt Moore asked me, how often do you clean the mags? I'm OCD about keeping the gun clean, but I keep the mags only, or I clean the mags only every 4 or so range visits. Well, I always wipe down the mags when I clean the gun, and I'll always wipe down the follower at least. If it's a magazine that can be easily disassembled, like a P-mag, I might do it once or twice. Once every 1 or 2 range trips. Like a P-mag is so easy to take apart. But other magazines that you can't, 4 or 5, and I'll just usually just take a Q-tip and kind of go down into the magazine. It's just to get any built-up carbon. But I do it as often as I shoot, but it's not like I deep clean them or anything. Cameron RZ asked me, are you going to watch the new Obi-Wan series? Yes, and as of me filming this video, 4 episodes are out, and I've seen all 4. And my review, if you guys are interested, is I have kind of mixed feelings about it. There's some things about it that I really like, and there's some things about it that I don't. I like that we're getting different parts of the Star Wars universe and galaxy that we've never seen before. I like how they're kind of exploring things from like the Rebels cartoon show and so forth. But I don't buy the fact that Obi-Wan Kenobi would be beat down. You know, his job was to look after Luke and then train him when he was ready, but he's let all of his force powers go. I just don't think that's who Obi-Wan Kenobi is. You know, Obi-Wan Kenobi fought Dooku and General Grievous and beat Anakin as a duelist, and when it comes to fighting the Inquisitors, I just don't think that he should be that scared. But that's the only thing that's out of character. And the other thing I don't like about the show is the music. Now, I'm a musician, and I think the John Williams score for the original movies was amazing. And Ludwig, I know I'm going to pronounce his last name wrong, like it's Gronson or Groenson. He did all the music for The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, and I thought that was fantastic as well. It really captures the Star Wars universe. The person that's doing the soundtrack for the Kenobi series is not as good. I know it's a woman, and she's not, I think, pulling from the Star Wars themes like other composers have. But anyway, that's my take on that. Thousand Mountains asks, what are your thoughts on overpaying for a firearm that you really want but didn't buy when prices were reasonable but waited and now the price is crazy high? If it's something you really want to buy. He says he waited for an HK SP5K PDW, never bought it. The thing is what is it worth to you? Yeah, I've done that. I have overpaid for guns, kicked myself in the butt. I can tell you one gun that just comes to mind immediately is a Sig P210 Legend. I saw one of those when they were on the shelves, when they were being made in Germany, and I think they were asking, I don't know, $1,100 or $1,200 for them when they were brand new, which was a lot of money for me at the time. This is probably about 2013. And I passed. I was like, it's just a Sig 210. It's really cool. I don't know if I want to spend that kind of money on a pistol. Then they went out of production. Then Sig came out with the new 210s. And then the Legends really interested me because they're more authentic. I found one new in the box, and I paid like $2,000 for it. I should have bought it when I did. But I've also bought guns really cheap. Like I bought my FN Scar 16S for $2,000 in a private sale. Brand new, unfired in the box. And those things go for almost $4,000 now. Yeah, so you win some, you lose some. You know, it just depends on how much you want it. Now, there's some guns that I really want that I missed out on, but I'm not paying the price. I just don't want it that much. So it really kind of depends on the gun. Let's see here. See if somebody else asked. Oh, Billy Bob asked me, how much time do you spend practicing music? And that's a great question because you guys know I'm a professional musician. The truth is, not enough but I get by. And let me explain. I have my doctorate in music performance. And so I spent many of my formative years practicing. And now that I'm a professional and older, I can practice more efficiently. It's one of the things I try to explain to my students, that I can accomplish more in 15 minutes than they can in 4 hours, just because I know how to practice, I know what to focus on. But the truth also is that I spend 5 or 6 hours behind my instrument in my horn every day teaching anyway, so I'm not always in the mood to practice. Plus I got the Texas Gun Vault to do, right? So not enough. I will practice for particular performances, or if there's pieces that I need to perform and work on, but in general, I don't practice as much as I should, or that much at all, because I'm always playing music, and I know how to practice efficiently. So that's that answer. Let me see here. Anybody else? Looks like Steve Michael. He asks, he says, you mentioned in your, he says, I can't read apparently. He says, you mentioned if you wrote an autobiography, people wouldn't believe you. What are some of the stories? Well, a couple of really cool stories that just come to mind. 3 stories that I can think of that are interesting. One is my brush with a famous person. I guess she's not that famous anymore, but was at the time, and I had no idea who she was. It was Shania Twain. Yeah, Shania Twain. I spent 30 or 35 minutes talking to her. This is way back, and I'll tell you, I was a little kid at the time. Well, not a little kid. I was 15 years old. It was 1995. And that year, I was marching with my high school band in the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Day Parade. So it was a cold and blistering 19 degrees on Thanksgiving Day, 1995. And I guess she was one of the people on one of those floats that, follow the bands or follow a balloon or something. And we were all lined up on the side of Central Park. And where the trombones were, 'cause I'm a trombone player, she was, I guess, right behind us. And as we were lined up, she just kind of walked over and just started talking to a couple of us. And it ended up just being me and her talking for 30 minutes. I don't even remember what I talked about. And I had no idea who she was. So I think we talked about Central Park and where I was from and that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's that. Another story. I like aviation and astronomy and U.S. history. And so 2 things that I can think of that are really cool about that is when I was on the road with the Glenn Miller Orchestra playing this 1940s big band show, we did a gig in Pensacola at a aviation museum. And that aviation museum, which is really close to I don't know if it's a Naval Air Station or an Air Force base there, they had, I guess, the only airplane that was ever designated Navy 1. So you guys know if a president is on a plane, regardless of what plane it is, it's Air Force One. So if he gets on any plane, it's called Air Force One as the call sign. The planes that we call Air Force One actually have certain designations, and when they're not in use, they're not Air Force One. But George W. Bush, this is after the Iraq War, and maybe you guys remember this, he landed on an aircraft carrier on a fighter plane. He was riding in it. And because it was a Navy plane, they called it Navy 1. So it's the only plane in history that ever had that designation. It's on display outside of this museum, kind of in the back. You have to go through the museum. It's in this courtyard. And we were setting up for this gig. And there was nobody at this museum. It was just the band and a couple people setting up for whatever the event was. It was some kind of special military charity event. So there were admirals there and that kind of stuff. And I just kind of walked outside in the courtyard, and I was the only one in the courtyard. So I got to walk around, and I walked right up to this airplane. I was able to touch it. It was really cool. So I kind of spent a couple of moments just kind of thinking wow, this is a kind of an interesting piece of history, U.S. and presidential history. And I'm just kind of standing here all by myself, walking around the plane and looking at it. That was really cool. As I said, there wasn't barricades. You could walk up and touch it. So I touched right there where George W. Bush got out of the plane. And another thing is I have been inside one of the Apollo capsules. So I was inside of Apollo 7, okay? So it wasn't one that went around the moon. But I did another gig, speaking of a museum, an aviation museum, here in Dallas called the Fantasies of Flight. It's down near Dallas Love Field. I was playing another charity where actually I met Ross Perot that day, and I met Colonel Alan West, one of the few times I've met him. I've met him a couple of times. I think this was the first time I met him. But I was doing a brass ensemble thing, and he was there, Ross Perot was there, but once again, I set up for this performance, and there wasn't a lot of people. I just started walking around the museum. And because it was going to be special dignitaries and things, they kind of took down some of the barriers and things so people could go up and like really get close to the airplanes and whatever. And at that time, I think it's still there. I know it's part of a traveling exhibit that goes from place to place every, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. It was the capsule to Apollo 7, and they took away the plexiglass shield, so if you wanted to, you can kind of stick your head inside, and I was kind of looking at it, I was touching, the capsule for Apollo 7, and I was looking inside, and like one of the curators came up, started talking to me about it, and goes, yeah, I mean, if you kind of want to climb in it, you can. And I was like, you sure? He was like, yeah. I mean, don't like go fully in it, but like, you put your hands and stuff in. So I actually got to be inside of an Apollo capsule command module. So that was really, really cool. And to be inside of it, and knowing the history, that was the first manned Apollo flight that did all the testing for the command module and orbited the Earth for, I don't know, like 10 days or something. It was just to make sure it would work for that long. And I can tell you, the men that went to the moon in these capsules, they're brave men, because this capsule is small. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, you are in this little tiny thing in the middle of space. If anything happens, you are toast. And this capsule is small, and you cannot have claustrophobia. Oh my gosh. I mean, in a way, it's cool, but in some ways, it's a nightmare. It's like one of those, I don't know, just imagine yourself being, hundreds of thousands of miles away, and you're in this little capsule, man. It's scary. But, man, yeah, but I was inside of Apollo 7. So, yeah, that's kind of an interesting story. So 3 little stories. And that's just kind of stuff that's happened to me throughout my life. So there's tons more, and but those are 3 that just kind of come to mind. And I think that might be it for the questions. All right. Nope, no one asked me any more questions. So, okay. Well, you guys can ask me anything you want. As I said, guns, my thoughts on certain things that maybe you asked me on the main channel that I didn't get around to answering because I just got too many comments over there. But anyway, this has been the question and answer session number 3. It's time for me to set up for this video. I got to get the tripod out and all that kind of fun stuff. What else can I talk about before I let you go? I told you guys this gun control stuff's probably not going to pass. The House voted on it. There wasn't an assault weapons ban, but it looks like it's all going to be stalled in the Senate. So I told you about that. And we're still waiting for the Supreme Court case to come out. So there you go. So Texas Gun Vault, question and answer number 3. And if you want to ask me a question in the comments of this video, just go ahead and ask it. As I said, it doesn't have to be about guns. It can be about something else. And I'll be happy to answer it. So we can just have a little dialogue here. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.